Hello, everybody. This is Megan,
And this is Alana.
and welcome to Tea Time Crimes.
Hey, Megan.
Good Lord, what happened on that intro? You just burst into
I
laughter.
literally burst.
Why?
But do you know
Oh.
what's coming around the bend?
Your birthday?
No.
Oh, well, it is.
Spooky
But what-
season.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I know. I'm super excited. I've already started researching our spooky month.
Woo!
How ghost tolerant are you going to be this October?
I mean, I don't know if my tolerance has changed from last Spooktober.
Because if you recall the haunting episode that we did,
Yes. Where I
You were
was
earmuffed
muted for half
for
of it.
22 minutes. I didn't enjoy being by myself. Yeah, okay. I've got some good ones planned, but I'm looking for a fourth. I've got 3 picked out, and I got to find a fourth one.
Ooh, so exciting.
These are my favorite, but yes, very excited. My favorite time. But it is also your birthday.
Yeah.
Are you getting your driver's license? Turning 16
no,
now?
still working on my permit.
Alana's quite a bit younger than me, so I always joke
Quite
that
a
she's getting
bit. Piss off.
her driver's license. I mean, like a chunk. I mean, I'm the same age as your older brother.
Like a scoop
I
of
think I'm-
peanut butter.
What?
Like you said, a chunk. That feels like a handful, but like maybe just a teaspoon.
I mean,
Okay, fine, a tablespoon. That's all you're gonna get.
half a cup.
Well, whoa,
I'm half
that's
I'm half
big
a cup of
jump.
tea older than you.
That's cute.
TTC math, folks. Feel free to
Yeah.
teach your children. But are you doing anything exciting for your birthday?
No, it will have passed when this comes out, I think. I'm actually...
Have you done anything exciting for your birthday?
Well, let me tell you, we're keeping it pretty chill this year. But I'm popping over to New York for a friend's event on
You
my
were just
actual
there,
day.
world traveler.
I know. Be bopping.
Exciting. Well, do you have any updates for today, or should we just ease on into your tea?
I guess we can ease on in.
All right. What you got for us today, lady?
Today was actually a recommendation from one of our more recent subscribers who reached out to me on IG, as the Gen Z call it. I don't think they do. I think they probably call it the gram. I don't know. What am I
That
doing?
makes perfect sense. We've
Make me
talked about
stop.
this
Make me stop.
because I call it Insta. So it
Yeah.
absolutely makes sense that cool people call it gram.
I mean, I don't even know. They're saying weird shit like Riz. I don't want to try. Anyways, they recommended a few different blends. I got both the blends and then a little bit of extra. So
On your
this
own, right?
one,
This isn't a catfishing scenario that I need to worry about.
catfishing. No.
Send the tea.
No.
Okay.
I'm a little bit more. I mean, remember the whole Reverend and Reprobate?
I know. Thank goodness that turned out to be great.
Yeah, seriously.
Hi, Reverend and Reprobate.
Hello. Okay. So it is a heritage blend black tea. It's known on their site as the Maple Scottish Breakfast Tea, which is very appealing to me. If you're a true fan, I've been listening since the beginning of time. One of my favorite teas is Irish breakfast.
Yeah.
So Scottish breakfast is similar.
Adjacent
For sure. So it is, you read this little ditty. It's Scottish tea is traditionally a powerful caffeine pick-me-up, compromised
There
with
you
a blend of teas from around the world. We found the perfect black teas from India, Africa, and Sri Lanka, paired with a drop of our real Vermont maple syrup extract.
Yeah,
Watch out. To create the perfectly balanced maple black tea power combo.
You know what would be delicious is if you
What?
put real maple syrup in it
Yeah.
instead of honey.
Well, I don't
Just saying.
put sweetener in my tea at all, though. Unless it's a Kolkata chai. Then I get the sweet stuff.
Gosh, you're so strict.
I am. We call it the Heritage Blend because this tea reminds us of the people that came before us. Okay, so yeah, it does have a bunch of different black teas in it, which is exciting. I love the maple syrup in it, especially from Vermont. It just was so fitting.
Mm-hmm.
So I put a little bit of milk in it, as one does to a breakfast tea.
Obviously.
Obviously.
If you've been listening, you know that already. These strict tea rules.
Okay, it smells like maple syrup. Exciting.
Perfect.
I mean,
Delicious smell.
I feel like there are a few items in the world where everybody mostly likes them. And I think maple syrup's one of them. It's
I don't
just
know.
so good.
I've met people who have never had real maple syrup, and when they have it, they don't like it because they grew up on fake maple syrup.
Because they're used to the plasticky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real, actually. You're right.
I'm a bit of a maple syrup snob, as you are. Like
that's
a
your
tea snob.
birthright.
I know. I didn't even understand that fake maple syrup existed.
Really?
For a long time.
We
My aunt
had both,
tapped
I think.
trees, and
That's
it was
incredible.
she would send us maple syrup every year from their own trees on their own property. And I was like, when I first saw it, I thought, what is this? And why
That's
does
incredible.
it taste disgusting?
Right, yeah. It's so different. We would actually
I was 20.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. We would have golden syrup from New Zealand, which I don't actually know what that's made from, but it is super sweet. And it's essentially, okay, so it comes from sugar cane or sugar beet juice, and then it's made into like a literally golden syrup. So we would have that sometimes instead of maple. They'd send it over from NZ.
I'm curious if you can taste the maple.
I know. It's aromatic, but can we taste it? So I think yes. I could feel the sweetness. I think the struggle is that it is an extract, so it doesn't taste exactly like maple syrup. It tastes like a sweet vanilla almost. Because extracts are so tough to get right and like the right balance, but it's really good. It adds that nice sweetness on top of the dark, thick breakfast blend. Let me get another sip here. There's that body. So my first sip, it wasn't as luscious a body as I wanted for this, tired morning. But now, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it, and I'm feeling it, and it's lovely. It's got a deep, thick body.
Yep.
With that, sweet maple on top. This is getting...
Oh, gosh, here we go.
Oh, this is nice. This is very
shoulder
nice.
Shimmy on that. Yeah.
I did. I could see this going into the normal rotation. It might be so good.
Wow.
Like a lot of the teas I'll have once on the show. I might have it again. Depends how much.
And never again.
Yeah. Some of them truly never again. And maybe I'll throw one at Chris because I usually make him a tea in the morning, like a green or herbal, and I'll throw in the fridge for him to have later. And he's like, "What tea did you give me?" I think one time the rooibos one. We're just not a rooibos family. So this one could make it back. This is really good. What do I want to give it though?
I don't know. That's your lane.
I'm just going to go for a tremendous thumbs up. Not exciting, but it's solid.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking too as I was steeping it? I'm not as familiar with the Scottish. I'm familiar with the Irish personally and wishfully through my beautiful accents. But like Scottish, I guess Outlander, but I don't know. Like I was trying to think a Scottish accent. And all I could think is, for Scotland! That's it.
You and I were talking about how you're gonna go to Ireland next year, and you were afraid you'd slip into your Irish accent.
Oh my God. So afraid.
I don't think they're gonna know that's what you're doing, honestly. Think about it. If somebody put on an American accent and they were so bad at it, you would just think that's how they talk.
Right. Like maybe they
had a different accent. You suddenly say, well, where are you from? They're probably going to all say to you, oh, where are you from? I thought you grew up.
I'm in County Cork. Yeah, you see my 23andMe? It's here, County Cork right here. Oh my God.
First off,
don't unsubscribe. We love you.
Well, they're going to say, why are you shouting?
Also,
do you have a hearing problem? And then two,
I have an ear trumpet.
Are you?
Oh my God, I'm going to bring an ear trumpet.
unique dialect. Yeah, throwback to last week. Get that bring your ear trumpet and just really charm them, I think.
I don't know. I think I need to work on the impulse control now, and this show obviously isn't helping because this is where I just let loose.
Obviously.
Or maybe it is helping. No. It's working on just like letting loose all the time.
Maybe they'll be fans by the time you get over there and they'll have heard it and they'll ask you to do it.
Oh boy. I'll just be offending everybody. Sorry in advance. It's not meant to be offensive.
I don't think it's offensive. I think it's hilarious. All right. You ready to get into today's
I
case?
am. Thank you to that listener for recommending this tea.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
excited
awesome.
to try the other ones that you recommended. Appreciate it.
Gosh, where were these recommendations?
On Instagram. In the gram. Okay.
That's right. I don't have access to our social media for various reasons. I've been taken off of all of them for everybody's well-being. All right, you ready for today?
I guess.
How you feeling?
Just go. Just go. You're going to turn my life upside down over here.
I've actually prepared a birthday episode for you, madam. Something to celebrate your birthday that I think you're really going to enjoy.
Oh!
In 1856,
yes,
Kate Warne walked into the Pinkerton Detective Agency in Chicago looking for a job.
Hey, we know that place.
She was 23 and recently widowed. When Allan Pinkerton looked up to see Kate standing in front of him, he said, I think you're confused. I'm not currently hiring a secretary or a cleaning lady.
Thanks.
She said, no problem. I'm here to answer the ad for a detective.
Oh, dunk on that, Mr. Pinkerton.
Yeah, Allan Pinkerton, mind blown. Ladies can't be detectives. It's literally never happened. To his credit, it's never been done. He is trying to process this idea. Kate says, hold up. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. The argument she makes is, as a woman, she will have advantages that men don't. She will be constantly underestimated and men will brag to her.
As literally just happened.
She will also be allowed into places that men aren't, like tea parties, luncheons.
Sure.
She'll be able to get close to the mothers, to the wives, to the girlfriends. She tells him, women have an eye for detail and are excellent observers. By the time she closes this loop, Pinkerton says, you know what? I see where you're coming from. Let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Much to his brother's protest, FYI. And Kate Warne becomes the first female detective.
Cool!
To give you some background on the Pinkertons, Allan Pinkerton was born in 1819 in Scotland.
No way!
Yeah. He had an older brother named Robert, the naysayer to Kate's application. Their father had been a police officer or a jailer. It's unclear. Either way, he died in the line of duty, and his family was emotionally devastated, financially devastated by this.
Oh, man.
Because of their father's death, Allan and Robert had to drop out of school early to support the family.
Oh, wow. Okay.
As Allan gets older, he'll eventually marry and have children of his own. But as a young adult, Allan becomes involved in a political movement in Scotland, pushing to improve the life of the working class.
Cool. Good for you.
Some people aren't excited about this movement, and riots start to break out, strikes start to break out. Pinkerton was arrested, and he and his wife fled to America. He was on the run.
Okay.
Pinkerton is not a rich man, so for this month-long journey from Scotland to America, he works on the ship to pay for their fare. He's a barrel maker.
Wow. Jeez, that's rough.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine those what am I trying to say? That journey.
Conditions? Yeah, no thanks.
It's not a cruise, honey. Don't do it.
The ship gets caught in a storm.
Oh, perfect.
Everyone on board has to row to safety.
What?
Which means they leave that journey with nothing but their lives. All of their possessions were gone that they had brought with them.
Did everybody survive? That seems intense.
Yeah.
They must have been pretty close to shore.
Allan and his wife are completely destitute.
Yeah.
They head to Illinois, first Chicago, then a smaller town outside of the city where he starts his own company making barrels, doing what he knows how to do. Allan Pinkerton works around the clock. He's a super hard worker.
Yeah.
One day, Pinkerton goes to the woods to look for wood to make more barrels, and he accidentally stumbles upon a counterfeiting ring. He works with the sheriff to capture the counterfeiters. And before long, he's offered a job as a deputy. In this job as a deputy, he realizes how limited the police are at this time because they can't cross any borders. So robbers can basically just scoot across the state line and wave goodbye
Wow.
because the police aren't allowed to go anywhere. And there's no FBI, no
Sure.
federal movement. So the FBI isn't around until 1908.
Okay. There's not like there's walkie-talkies to be like, hey,
Yeah, it's not a
other
great system.
state.
Pinkerton also is involved in the Underground Railroad. His home is a stop.
I love this man.
He's pretty cool. And eventually his family will move back to the city, and he opens his own agency in 1850.
Oh, wow. Go get him, boss.
He's doing this before the system we know was in place. This means he's providing security and doing investigations both for independent individuals, but also for the government because the government doesn't have the agencies in place that it does today. He liked to hire people for day laborer jobs, and then he would observe them and see if they had problem-solving skills and then try to recruit them to be agents.
Huh. That's so cool.
He also started using mugshots and fingerprints.
That's going to be way before his time.
Revolutionary. Yeah. This is when they had just descriptions. But now he's sending a picture, and on the back of the picture, he would write all of the details. Left scar.
That's so cool.
Birthmarks, brown hair, blue eyes, 5'7". He would put all of the details, and then he would mail this picture with all of the stats out to help capture people. He's cutting edge.
Yeah.
So Kate Warne walks in and gets this job just off of talking him into it.
Yeah, he gives her a chance.
Almost nothing is known about Kate before this moment. And truly not all that much is known about her after because she was very good at her job.
Oh, flying under the radar.
What we do know is that she was born in Erin, New York around 1833-ish. And Erin was settled mostly by Irish immigrants in the early 1800s and is a very small town. Today has a population of about 2,000 people.
Oh, wow.
Kate's father was a minister, and it's believed she came from a large family. Kate wanted to be an actress. Nobody thinks she actually became one, but nobody knows for sure. Either way, her dream of becoming an actress is one of the skills that she gets to show off constantly as a Pinkerton detective. There are no verified photographs of Kate Warne. And in addition to her being good at her job, the Pinkerton Agency would suffer a fire and all of the records with Kate's cases were burned.
No.
Or most of them, not all of them. But Pinkerton describes Kate as clear-cut features, brown hair, honest face, and a compelling personality. In one of his memoirs, he said Kate was a brilliant conversationalist when so disposed, and she could be quite vivacious. But she also understood the rarer quality in womankind, the art of being silent.
Yeah.
Rude.
I mean, I think that's a little rude.
Yeah. What we do know is that Kate would regularly go undercover to gain information, often as a Southern belle or a high society lady, one time as a fortune teller named Lucille, which seems a weird choice for a fortune teller name. But one of the first case histories that survived is an 1858 embezzlement case. Nathan Maroney was suspected to have embezzled $50,000 from the Adams Express Company.
That's a lot back then.
Yeah, would be over $1 million today.
Yeah.
The police had him in jail as a suspect, but he refused to talk. Kate moves down to Alabama, becomes friends with Maroney's wife.
What?
Unlike us, she's incredibly good at accents. She's very good at a Southern accent. She has the same character. Yeah, she's the same character this entire time. It's not as if she's
a sleeper cell. Like, this is so intense. Like, she's going and like embedding herself in.
Yes.
Oh, it's so cool. Make a TV show about it.
Eventually, the wife confides in Kate, allowing Kate to know enough to be able to break back into the house to gather evidence. She also found out where all of the money was buried. This allowed Maroney to be charged, and Kate was able to recover almost 100% of the funds that went missing.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
She's so cool.
Off the heels of this success, Pinkerton, he's thinking, this is working.
Yeah.
You're amazing. I'm loving this. He lets her start a female branch and puts her in charge of it.
That's so cool.
This allows her to hire more women and to train them, and she supervises them. They're called the Pinks.
Yes, they are. Oh my God.
I love it.
Like
which gives me real Grease Pink Ladies vibe, but so much cooler.
Yes.
So she's credited for training and overseeing so many successful female agents and different branches over the country.
18.
That case was in 1858.
Like,
I'm not exactly sure.
Crazy that this is happening right now. So freaking cool.
I know. By 1861, the railroad companies were Pinkerton's biggest client. They are a constant source of theft. The Pinkerton agents are hired to not only solve the crimes that have happened, but also as protection to prevent crimes in the future.
Okay.
It's during this time that the president of the Philadelphia, Wilmington, and Baltimore Railroad, Samuel Fenton, asked Pinkerton to look into the secession plans. Pinkerton agents usually go undercover expecting to learn of sabotage or railroad riots, things like that, because if you cut off the railroad, you really will affect a lot of areas.
This feels like FBI shit.
It is very similar, but Fenton had heard of something much more sinister. An assassination plan to kill the new president-elect Abraham Lincoln. At this time, Lincoln is touring by train, and the newspaper is publishing all of his plan stops.
I mean,
where he's going to be, where he was.
For the campaign trail.
His actions are known by absolutely everyone. To find out if this was a real threat, Kate Warne goes undercover as a wealthy Southern belle named Mrs. Cherry. Sometimes Mrs. Barley, depending on where she was. At every social event, she wore a cockade, which is this big, ugly brooch fabric thing, and the one she wore would identify her as being part
agent.
of the...
Okay.
Not as an agent. No, goodness, no. She can't. She's undercover.
But to other agents.
No, as a secessionist.
Okay.
To get inside info.
Gotcha.
What Kate uncovers with the help of other Pinkerton agents, because it's not just her,
right,
is a plot allegedly led by Cipriano Ferrandini. He is quoted as saying...
Do you think he's Italian?
I think he might be. Lincoln shall never, never be president. My life is of no consequence. I am willing to give it for this.
But why? Like
Cipriano, not having it.
Cipriano, you're a jerk.
It's thought that another female detective, Hattie Lawton, which was Kate's first hire, also was working on this case with her.
Love it.
Just like Kate, details are really sparse, but it's believed that Hattie had a black mother and a white father and was said to go undercover as both a white wife for other Pinkerton agents or sometimes as a black slave.
Oh, boy.
Depending on the situation. During this operation, Hattie posed as the wife of Tim Webster, another agent, and was responsible for getting details in this plot and delivered them directly to Kate.
This is fascinating.
What the Pinkerton detectives believed would happen was centered around one particular spot. Lincoln started his journey in Springfield, Illinois, obviously, making 70 stops along the way.
70, wow.
I know. One of those was to switch trains in Baltimore, Maryland, right before getting to D.C. to be sworn in.
Okay, jeez.
It was the Baltimore stop that was to be the place of attack between Calvert and Camden Street, because Lincoln would have to cross town to get to the other train.
Okay, so he's not... Yeah, I got it. He has some vulnerabilities.
The secessionists would start a massive riot, forcing any law enforcement agencies that were there to try to
go to the riot.
Yeah, to go to the riot, leaving him unprotected or less protected. Then a mob would attack and assassinate the president-elect. Now, it's believed the lot would draw straws or draw some sort of mark to decide who was the one that was the assassin.
Actual killer.
This way, nobody would know for sure, but they also would often put in multiple assassins in case somebody failed.
Just in case, yeah.
Then the group had a boat waiting for them at the docks to escape. To this day, not everybody is confident that this threat was real. Even Lincoln had doubts, but he met with Pinkerton on February 21st. Some say Lincoln met with Pinkerton himself. Others claim Pinkerton wrote a letter and Kate delivered it directly to Lincoln. Lincoln only agreed to change his plans after his Secretary of State, William Seward, said that he'd heard the same rumor from a different source. His son, actually.
Okay.
Only then did Lincoln agree to change his plans, but only at the stop right before Baltimore in Philadelphia and not a moment before.
Philadelphia. Sorry.
Oh, gosh, please don't. Kate Warne, still in her Southern Belle character, goes to the train station to reserve seats. She requests a sleeping car, but sleeping cars could not be reserved ahead of time. They were first come, first serve. Kate has a bit of a dilemma on her hands. So she dusts off her acting skills, cries, carrying on about her poor sick brother who's traveling, is in charge of transporting him, and couldn't they please make an exception? Really good. And she pays him 50 cents to reserve the entire sleeping car.
50 cents.
The Pinkerton agents, who are in charge of sneaking Lincoln to Baltimore on a different train than the press believed. On February 22nd at 5:45, Lincoln leaves the dinner with them. Pinkerton arranged for telegraph lines to be cut along the way so nobody could send notice of the change ahead of time.
Smart.
Now, Lincoln is not an easy man to hide.
No.
He's the tallest president in history. He's 6'4".
And he wears that damn top hat.
He's got the damn hat. The first thing they say is, you need to get rid of that hat, sir. They put a soft cap on
him. Put a bowler on.
Yeah, a soft cap. They take the suit off, put farmer's clothes on him, put a shawl over him, and they also say, you're going to need to hunch way down.
Yeah. I'm dying to see like a painting or a picture of that. Like that, because he's so iconic.
I know.
Like some presidents, you don't even remember their names, but like he is so, like just his stature and how he looks is so iconic.
It's a very recognizable silhouette. You can recognize it.
Yes.
With the beard and the hat
right.
and the
You don't
nose.
even need the details.
He has to hunch down both to appear sick and to appear smaller, which still probably only gets him to 6 feet. Do you know what I mean? And Kate rushes up to him at the train station, still carrying on, oh, my poor brother, giving him hugs and getting him into the train.
Oh my God, you're hugging Lincoln. What does he smell like?
Gosh. Lincoln barely fits into the sleeping bunks.
Classic.
Because he's so big, but he crawls into one for the night, and Kate stands guard, staying up all night along with Pinkerton and Lincoln's bodyguard.
Love this.
In her purse, she has brass knuckles and a handgun.
Yes, she does. Watch out.
Because if anyone gets to her, that means they've taken out the other agents, and she and Pinkerton are the last line of defense to save Abraham Lincoln.
Okay, so they have other Pinkerton, like Hattie might be in another car, yeah.
Pinkerton has also stationed agents at every railroad bridge or crossing, and if the train moves by peacefully, they flash lights. So they'll flash twice, pause, flash twice to alert the Pinkerton network that it's still going, right? You can't text.
I just want to say, like that, no. It's so amazing what they're doing, what they've been able to do with such limited technology. Like these are smart people.
I know, exactly, to cut the telegraph lines.
Yeah.
And as they would pass through, he'd have them put back up.
Right.
That way nobody really notices.
Right, like is something wrong? Yeah.
Luckily for Kate, she did not need to fight because the plan alone was smart enough to get Lincoln safely to his connecting train and ultimately, obviously, to his inauguration, as we know.
Yeah.
Kate had to wait for the news, though, that he was safe because she escorted him to the train that went to D.C., but she could not get on that train because she was an unmarried woman and it would be unseemly for her to escort the president to the Capitol.
Interesting.
Yeah. Eventually, she received a telegraph that said, Plum's has nuts. Lincoln is nuts, which is not the best code name.
Oh my God.
I know. You done him wrong, Pinkerton.
Plum has nuts.
Plums has nuts. I think it was more than one plums.
Whoa,
yeah, multiple plums have multiple nuts. It's obscene. Mary Todd and the children stayed on the original travel schedule, but they were taken off several stops early this way to not arise too much suspicion.
Yeah.
They were taken off several stops early to avoid the crowd waiting for them at the original destination. There was a crowd.
Yeah, you don't want to endanger the kids.
Rumor has it that after this, the Pinkerton logo, which you've probably seen, it's that eye. It's just one single eye.
I keep thinking of the Pink Panther, so that's helpful.
It's a single eye, which is where the term private eye is thought to have come from. But they also have a slogan under it that says, "We never sleep." It's thought that the slogan was created because Kate Warne stayed up all night to protect the president.
How cool!
Nobody was charged for the plot because it didn't actually happen. Some were held on suspicion, but they couldn't prove anything. And sadly, Lincoln was attacked in the press afterwards for being a coward.
You're an idiot, press.
they had all these cartoons of him running away, fleeing the scene.
Oh, yeah. You want a president to walk into a mob? Were you born yesterday?
But when speaking of Kate Warne, Lincoln said, and this is very 1800s language, so bear with me.
Oh, boy.
I believe it has not hitherto been one of the prerequisites of the presidency to acquire in full bloom so charming and accomplished a female relation. So he basically was like, hey, Kate, you're solid. But he really overworded it.
Well, as he does.
Yeah. When Lincoln was assassinated in 1865, the Pinkerton Agency was devastated and believed that had they been there to protect him, he would have been saved again.
I mean, I don't not believe it. Yeah. Imagine, I just love to think about moments in history like that where like big events happen. What if Lincoln hadn't been assassinated? Mm-hmm. All those kind of things. I mean, there's that whole series about what if the Germans won in World War II. Yeah, dark.
It is dark.
The Man in the High Castle, but it's just fascinating to think about. These tiny events just make such ripples in history.
I know it's sad that he died so shortly after, but what if he died before becoming president?
Right.
How would that have changed the country in the history?
He made his whole cabinet his enemies on purpose. Who's the vice president? I should know this. Who took over after he died? Take away my bachelor's degree. It's not in history, but
Andrew Johnson.
Oh yeah, you're right. Anyways,
bring it back here to the good. Well, it's about to get a little bit rough. They're a little bit rough part of the story. After the Civil War started, Allan Pinkerton became the chief of intelligence for the Union Army, which he's essentially creating the first secret service.
Yes, he is.
That's what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Kate is working as a spy the entire time, feeding information directly to Pinkerton. Usually she's in Tennessee or Virginia, sometimes pretending to be Pinkerton's wife or a Southern belle with the alias of the name Kay or Kitty Warren.
Stop.
She would stick close to her name. Mm-hmm.
That's smart.
Claw-fingered Kitty. Back.
Claw-fingered Kitty. Always.
No details of the Civil War missions exist, but you can be absolutely sure they were unbelievably dangerous. Hattie Lawton, who I mentioned before, and Timothy Webster, the same couple, they went undercover again as husband and wife. They were captured.
Oh, no.
Pinkerton went to Lincoln immediately, asking him to threaten retaliation if they weren't released. But Timothy was sentenced to death. Hattie was only sentenced to 1 year in prison. I think because she was a woman. It was one of those instances where being a woman works out in your favor.
But so the Confederates are sentencing.
Yes.
Her.
And Lincoln did make a threat and they ignored it. Timothy then asked for another method of execution other than hanging, but his request was denied. Hattie was devastated and begged the officers to allow him to be shot instead.
Oh, boy.
So even with Lincoln intervening, Pinkerton was unable to save Timothy, and on April 29th, 1862, he was led to the gallows. As he was escorted out of his cell, he said to Hattie, "Goodbye, dear friend. We shall never meet on earth again. God bless you and your kindness to me. I will be brave and die like a man. Farewell forever."
Oh.
Hattie crumbled to the floor. It was reported after this goodbye, screaming, crying, gut-wrenching. As Timothy had feared, the hanging was not done well. It seems nobody can do this, right?
Just shoot people.
That's what he had asked for. And the rope broke, and he had to be led up to the gallows again, and he said, "I suffer a double death."
Yeah, fuck that.
Hattie's freedom was awarded for the exchange of a Confederate female spy that December. She had further petitioned to have Timothy's body shipped back to his birthplace of New York, but her request was denied, and instead Timothy Webster was buried in a pauper's field.
Do we know where his grave is? That's sad.
I know, really sad.
I'm surprised that they were so easy on Hattie because of her race.
I don't think they knew.
Okay, I see.
Because she was posing as his wife.
Right.
They believe that her mother was black and her father was white, but just like with Kate, there's no records, there's no paperwork, there's no photographs. There's not a lot that goes on about her afterwards. There's just not a lot known.
Yeah.
Just like with Kate.
Mm-hmm.
After the Civil War, Kate continues to be a detective but a more traditional one, solving thefts and murders. It's recorded that she solved the murder of a bank teller killed by his coworker, Alexander Drysdale, who had stolen $130,000. Again,
Whoa.
I know, holy moly, guys.
This is a lot of money, folks.
Kate was able to prove this again by going undercover, this time as a woman named Mrs. Potter, and befriending the wife and finding the money.
This is amazing.
Remember, this whole time, she's still the supervisor of all the female agents.
Yes.
Even though in 1876, Robert Pinkerton, Allan's brother, who has been against Kate from the get-go, from the second
Even though
she walked in,
proved herself,
he decides to stop the agency from hiring women altogether. Allan is not having this, and he writes his brother a letter that says, "It has been my principle to use females for the detection of crime where it has been useful and necessary. I can trace it back to the time that I first hired Kate Warne up to the present time, and I intend to still use females whenever can be done judiciously. I must do it or falsify my theory, practice, and truth."
yes.
Which sounds eloquent, but I think for the 1800s, again, is like a sick burn. That's a serious memo on Robert Pinkerton's desk that next morning when he comes in. That is a real F.U. in the 1800s. He says, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And it's working. Sit yourself down, Robert.
Like, it's proven, like, we literally saved the president once.
Yeah, he's...
Stop being so sexist, you jerk.
Grumper. Sadly, Kate becomes ill at the start of 1868, and she dies with Pinkerton at her bedside. She was believed to have been 34, maybe 35.
No.
Pinkerton has her buried in the family plot at Graceland Cemetery in Chicago, something he did for his most dedicated agents.
Wow.
Pinkerton said Kate Warne was one of the top 5 spies that had ever worked for him. And to every single female candidate he hired after Kate Warne, he would say, "In my service, you will serve your country better than on the field. I have several female operatives. If you choose to come on board, you will train with the head of my female detectives, Kate Warne. She has never let me down." Her obituary in the Democratic Inquirer described her as, and this is 1800s, this is how they're describing her, "a marked woman amongst her sex, with a large, active brain, great mental power, and excellent judge of character." I mean, that's like unheard of.
Yeah.
To talk about how smart a woman is.
I know.
They say, as she lived, so she died, a strong, pure, devoted woman. And that is the story of Kate Warne.
That was the best birthday present ever.
Happy birthday.
How are these stories not told? Like, I feel like this would be such a great TV show.
I did see, I meant to follow up on it. I did see in a 2022 article that Emily Blunt was supposed to play her in a biopic, but I haven't heard of it. Have you?
I mean, I'm not the best with up-to-date TV shows.
Like, maybe it's already out and won Academy Awards. I don't know. But I think if it's in 2022, it probably hasn't come out yet.
No, probably not. Okay, that's exciting.
But hopefully that's the case. That would be cool.
Yeah. I mean, I wish we could know more about her backstory to be like, why did she just stride up to the agency one day and be like, I'm a detective, like, hire me as a detective?
What got her thinking about that? I find that fascinating too. Did she read a book? Did she see a play? Did she read the ad in the paper and just think, I can do this?
Right. Did she see like a crime not get solved that she saw something important on? Like something like that, where she's like, I could do this. These guys are dummies or something. Who knows? Or these guys are amazing. I want to do this.
Yeah. I'm not sure. And she's so right, because what she would do is she would sit in at these luncheons and be able to get information for the Union Army by saying things like, I heard your son is fighting. Where is he safe? Is he somewhere safe? And then the mothers would just say, yes, he's safe and here's where he is. And then now Kate can go back to Pinkerton and knows exactly where the Confederate troops are.
Yep.
Crazy.
It's incredible. And I mean, some of those got to be really scary too.
Yeah.
I wonder what training they went through.
Exactly. I wonder that too. What training did they go to? Also, there have to be so many moments in Kate Warne's career where she almost was caught or almost was put in jail or almost killed. There's no way
Those high tense situations. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I would love to know more about Hattie Lawton too. That was the first hire. So those two are basically...
she's going to be in that same Emily Blunt thing.
I hope so. There's a couple other women mentioned because Pinkerton would hire not only females, he also hired African-American males. He just seemed to just hire anybody who was good at the job.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't matter. Like he was way ahead of his time. Like,
yeah.
I mean, not even 100 years ahead, like 150 years, because 100 years ahead, we're having Jim Crow.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. I mean, think about his background though. Like he's coming from a freedom movement of some sort, right? Workers' rights and that kind of thing. And so he has that rooted in him. And think about like what's going on with Scotland and England. I mean, at some points, very oppressed nation underneath the British thumb. And so I think a lot of that exposure probably builds him into this guy who's like, does not sit for oppressed peoples. I mean, clearly he was a stop for the Underground Railroad.
Underground Railroad. I know.
That's huge. I know. What a guy. Really cool. But the thing is, why was his brother such a douche? Like, was his brother involved in the same movement as he was in Scotland?
I don't know. I don't know any of those details about Robert. I'm sure there's tons of biographies on Allan Pinkerton, so maybe there's some more light shed, and I didn't dive into him because I didn't really care about Robert. Sorry, Robert.
Sorry. Bye.
Bye, Robert. But if you try to put yourself in Robert's place, it was probably a very big risk to the agency. What if Kate made a mistake? What if Kate did something wrong? It would be seen as such a bad move to have hired a female.
That's fair, but he still had the same stance after she proved herself to be an amazing agent.
And then he was just a jerk after that. I think. He
was just sexist.
There were rumors too that Kate and Allan Pinkerton were romantically involved, but it was never proven. And I think that might have been Robert's issue as well. He would always give Kate a hard time because they constantly traveled together. And so when she would submit expense reports, she was often posing as his wife.
Expense reports. I can't imagine expense reports back then. Get your T&Os in.
Submit as her Expensify and he'd get all up in her business. And he just seemed to have it out for her. But he just, in general, didn't like him hiring females.
Yeah. I mean, he was sexist at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, everybody was in the 1850s.
Yeah. It's great. Love that for us. Was Allan married?
Yeah, he was married.
Okay.
And he had 3 children.
But you never know. I feel like a lot of people assume even today, like men and women who work closely together at work or travel out together, they always like, they're sleeping together. Like, oh, maybe she's just really competent and she got that position because she worked hard.
That's why I'm not even going to entertain it because he clearly respected her.
Yes.
And she clearly knew how to do her job unbelievably well. And you're going to get that sexism of just, you can't have men and women in the same area. Oh my goodness. I can't be in the same room.
Yep.
That's not fair to men. Like, okay, get it together. Get it together. Stupid. There's only one portrait of Kate that's believed to be Kate. But there's a bunch of pictures of Pinkerton just standing casually next to Lincoln. He looks pretty serious. He looks like a very serious gentleman.
I mean, you kind of got to be with that job. Wow.
He doesn't look like he messes around.
It's just so fascinating thinking about the top of the house where all the intelligence is like that web that you have to like look over and start drawing the points to. That's a lot of brain work.
Yeah.
Wow. This is great. Love it.
She sounds amazing. Hattie Lawton sounds amazing. And Allan Pinkerton sounds pretty badass as well.
Heck yeah. A man ahead of his time for sure.
And now I fully understand. We've talked about it once before, but I fully understand Dorothy Arnold's family. Remember we talked about the unsolved disappearance of Dorothy Arnold where they didn't go to the police. They went to the Pinkerton Agency.
Yes.
And now I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
This makes a lot more sense.
You should have gone to the Pinkerton Agency.
Yeah.
It was after Kate's time, I believe, but still. And Kate was believed to have died from pneumonia, but
man.
I know.
It sucks.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah, well, do you have any last words?
I just love this and I'm going to dive into it. Oh, and I thought of the only Scottish thing I can remember. I'm going to channel my Jamie.
Oh, Lord, help us.
What have you done to your honey pot, Claire?
Oh, goodness gracious.
I don't even know if that was good Scottish, though.
I mean, it's the content that matters.
It is. You're right.
I would love to have seen that line been born by the writer who
Oh,
thought, here's what
they were
I'm gonna
probably
say.
giggling in the writer's room.
Oh,
Oh,
goodness
boy.
gracious. Gosh, did Pinkerton have a Scottish He must have had an accent. I wasn't thinking that he did.
Yeah,
probably
he
did.
must have. He might have erased it.
He might have
To
gotten
fit
rid of
in
it to
more.
fit in. Yeah. So he
Yeah.
wasn't stand out as much.
But I'm sure when he first emigrated, because he was an adult.
I'm assuming Kate's parents were Irish. I
Yeah,
wonder if
that's what it
she
seems
had
like.
an
A little bit
Irish
of a lilt. Oh,
Yeah.
love.
All right, and who should listen?
Oh, who shouldn't? Everyone should listen. Everybody. We're not creating barriers here. We're demolishing them, just like Kate and Allan. That's it.
All right. Awesome. Well, you can find us
Such
on
a
all the
good one.
platforms at.
Tea Time Crimes.
You can email us at.
teatimecrimes@gmail.com. Send more stories like this.
Well, I sent it to myself. Please rate, review, like, subscribe. Send us recommendations for teas and crimes.
Yeah.
And leave a review if you're so inclined.
Yeah,
I
we'd
didn't mean to
appreciate
rhyme
it.
that again.
Okay, Dr. Seuss.
Next week will be spooky season. Right.
Spooky.
I get to pull out the old Halloween theme music.
Yeah.
I
get to be terrified looking around every corner.
We need to record in the middle of the day. In
Yes.
full sun so that she doesn't get
Yes.
scared.
Correct.
No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. And
Thank you.
We'll be back next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.